I'd now like to welcome to the floor, please, Martin Kern, the EIT's Interim Director. Martin has a PowerPoint presentation for us this morning, and he's going to talk us through the EIT's mission, priorities, and future outlook. Martin, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and good morning from the EIT, and thank you all for attending. It's really great to see an almost full hall today, and such a great level of interest in our competition, which makes us very optimistic that we will have a great call, a great competition, and ultimately, of course, 2 great new innovation communities at the end of it. I would like to start by thanking Begonia Arano and Jean-Philippe Gamel for their intervention and for their support to the EIT, because it is only the support from the Commission and the positive opinion which we received at the beginning of the year on our interim evaluation that made this competition possible. So thank you for that support, which means a lot to us. These 2 new innovation communities which we want to set up are very exciting for us because they broaden very much the scope of the EIT in 2 areas which are of extreme societal importance today, the urban mobility and the manufacturing. And what I would like to do to set the scene for the discussions and the presentations of the EIT is to give you 7 key messages about the EIT, where it is today, and what I think are essential elements for any successful applicant to keep in mind when preparing the application. I will start with the existing innovation communities. So the existing innovation communities of the EIT, and there are now 6 of them, are very highly integrated partnerships that are set up to tackle very specific societal challenges. So currently, and you can see some extracts here from their websites, it's the Climate Kick, which is bringing together and empowering a dynamic community which aims to build a zero-carbon economy and climate-resilient society. Then we have EIT Health, which is helping to increase not just competitiveness of European industry, but really aims to improve the quality of life of Europe's citizens and sustainability of Europe's healthcare systems. We have EIT Food, which is the latest newcomer in the EIT community, which aims to improve nutrition and make food systems more resource efficient, secure, transparent, and trusted across Europe. We have EIT Raw Materials, which boosts competitiveness, growth, and attractiveness of the European raw materials sector and aims at radical innovation in this field and fostering of entrepreneurship. We have EIT InnoEnergy, the leading engine for innovation and entrepreneurship in the field of sustainable energy in Europe. And we have EIT Digital, which fosters digital technology, innovation, and entrepreneurial talent, thereby boosting economic growth, quality of life, and contributing to the establishment of the digital union. So you can see that these are really ambitious challenges. And the reason why I start with them today, when actually we will talk about urban mobility and manufacturing, is because my first message is that joining the EIT and the EIT community at this stage is not just a project in itself, but is joining a much broader context. And the EIT now is already much more than the sum of its individual innovation communities. So that is very important to keep in mind for new applicants. And that's also why you have an opportunity today to meet the existing innovation communities outside. You may have noticed the stands when coming in. Now coming to urban mobility and manufacturing as challenges in their own right. Urban mobility is like no other challenge. It's an area that affects all of us, but unlike some of the others which I just presented, it really one that each of us probably faces every day, ensuring that there is a smarter, greener, more inclusive and safer integrated urban mobility system has a large amount of challenges. It's a really complex endeavor and one that really needs a pan-European effort, complexity and innovation community to tackle that really brings together all different aspects related to this challenge. Equally, manufacturing is a challenge that addresses the creation of an integrated manufacturing system spanning really the entire value chain, from production to distribution, end-of-life treatment of goods, products and services based on a customer-driven innovation system. And you will recognize immediately by spelling out these two challenges that, of course, they are very closely interconnected with the 6 of them that I presented initially. So we also expect close synergies and cooperation across the EIT community. These challenges could hardly be of more critical importance than today. And even today, I mean, the interest here shows that you believe that these are challenges worthwhile to tackle and challenges that need immediate attention for the people in Europe, and the challenge that needs a pan-European solution. And that is exactly what the EIT can be offering. And the opportunities we present from the side of the EIT are very large. We help you to define the aspects of the societal challenge broadly, but we really expect you as the applicants to find your focus within that challenge. And that is a second absolutely key element for the EIT, that it is based on a bottom-up approach. So we will not give directions from the EIT side on where exactly within that societal challenge the focus could be, but this is for the applicants to find out and to identify the biggest innovation potential and where the biggest value added and impact could come from to make a difference in those challenges. That is very, very important to keep in mind. As I mentioned, being part of the EIT community also has a broader range of opportunities than those directly related to setting up an innovation community in this field. And one of them is that innovation communities become increasingly also a platform for a policy debate and policy dialogue. In the specific challenges that you are facing, very many important trade-offs are being made. One of the challenges, for example, in the field of manufacturing is not just an economic one, but also one that is very much a social one. For example, what will happen to jobs in more and more automated factories in industry. So there's also a very large opportunity here for an innovation community to be part of that debate, to be part of a dialogue with the EU institutions, with national and local stakeholders. So that is another value added by being part of the EIT. So coming back to our mission, the EIT is about contributing to competitiveness, to sustainable growth and job creation, but also to an improved quality of life, to really address the needs of citizens, to use innovation to make a difference and to create better cities, better industry, better jobs. That is very, very important as well. And we do this by also promoting synergies and cooperation. First of all, among the partners within an innovation community, so the cooperation between the business, the education and research institutions, but also well beyond that, as already outlined. You can see the EIT's view on the ecosystem here, which is really a broad one and which has a whole range of stakeholders, all the stakeholders needed to participate to make innovation happen. It was already mentioned by the colleagues from the Commission. EIT is part of the broader Horizon 2020 framework program for research and innovation, and most of our budget goes directly to the innovation communities to support their activities in the field of education, in the field of business creation, and in the field of innovations to be brought to the market. In fact, the EIT is the first initiative that does so comprehensively, bringing together the 3 sides of what was called or is called the knowledge triangle, creating a fully functioning innovation ecosystem. And we've put a lot of efforts in the last years to improve this model, to build this model, and to make it work as efficiently and as effectively as possible. And we're now seeing the results from these efforts. So you can see here some of the companies which the EIT community has helped to support and has helped to grow and to become successful. As you can see, there are a lot of them, and more are coming, and we're of course looking forward for the 2 new innovation communities to also contribute to that and make this ecosystem even stronger. We have now the not just indications, but the actual confirmation that what the EIT has built works. It has been shown by the interim evaluation of the Commission and also by an impact study which we completed last year and which put together the results of the EIT. It's not just that we have built a strong ecosystem with the 40 hubs, well over 1,000 partners across Europe, more than half of them from business and industry, and all the unique features that the EIT has, and that my colleagues will explain to you in detail afterwards. But it is also that it produces the results, that it produces the outcomes, because being unique is one thing, but ultimately it is the impact and the strategic direction that the innovation communities show that really make the difference. So in terms of numbers, the EIT community has supported more than 800 ventures, some of them you see here, and created over 6,000 skilled jobs. And the innovation communities and companies that they have supported attracted over 600 million euros of external investment. So these are impressive figures because they come from the initial years of the EIT, and we expect these figures to rise. Which brings me to another very important element of the EIT, which is the field of education. It is absolutely essential for us to have education at the heart of the EIT's innovation model. And that means it should also be a central piece and at the heart of each of the applications. And it's really one of the absolutely unique features that education programs are inbuilt. We had already 1,200 students that by now have graduated from the EIT's entrepreneurial education program. And we project that there will be over 5,000 of them by 2020. And that are numbers that will continue to grow as more and more programs are becoming set up and in more and more universities are participating in the EIT activities. One of the focus areas which is emerging is also more and more support to women entrepreneurship, because we believe that by broadening the talents that are participating in entrepreneurship, in innovation, we can make a huge impact across Europe. And we are very pleased to see that more and more young women get involved in EIT activities and technology in general. And that, of course, broadens the success for the EIT community. In fact, our startups and scale-ups and also the success stories that we see, for example, those from the Forbes list that were mentioned by Begonia earlier on, more and more include women entrepreneurs. And that's something we're very proud of and would also like to develop further. There are many successful examples on this slide. I will just mention two of them because they have already a strong relation to the field of urban mobility and manufacturing. The first one is a French company called Navia that raised investment of 41 million euros in 2016 and has been supported by EIT Digital and helps to make the leap from very strong potential to actually a successful commercial company. So Navia makes 100% autonomous electric shuttles that can transport 15 passengers at a time at a speed of 45 kilometers per hour. And they can run 13 hours without charges and are already actually transported 200,000 people in recent years all across the world. So they are already in Australia, in Austria, in China, Denmark, France, Japan, to name just a few of them. And they joined the EIT community in 2015. So in a very short time frame, they have managed to grow substantially, and EIT Digital was fundamental in helping them to find the partners, to become part of an ecosystem, and of course to get the necessary investments to become this type of success story. As you see in this photo, innovation is not always just a success. So the road to success can be bumpy, but that's also very, very important, that failure is part of the system. So you can see that Navia had a crash. It got a lot of publicity out of that, so that was definitely positive for them. But more importantly, you learn from that. So you learn, you improve, and you will get a better and improved innovation. So that is something the EIT is fully aware of, that is inbuilt in our framework, and we support lessons learned, a culture of learning and a culture of improvement from the beginning, because that is the opportunity to be successful. The second example, which I would like to quote, is an Estonian company called Skeleton Technologies, which also very much benefited from the EIT support, in this case EIT InnoEnergy, in helping them grow, in helping to come out of research. The company and the researchers behind it started actually to work on their technology in the early 90s, but only with the actual entering into the EIT community, they become more and more commercial and manage to get their product out from research onto the market. And what they're doing is quite amazing. So their products are energy storage that uses graphene-based technology in a unique way to have new generation of batteries and energy storage. And by now, the clients of their products already include the European Space Agency. And it is again the ecosystem of the EIT that they could access that brought them the contacts to get the necessary investment, to get the necessary support. So by now, they have over 100 staff, and they have grown into a successful company that not just has production in Estonia, but also is opening a factory in Germany. And that is one example that was supported through our regional innovation scheme, and also demonstrates that you can find innovation in areas and countries which may not be immediately the evident ones. So really happy to have these type of success stories coming from the EIT now, and of course the type of innovations that can also be absolutely critical for solving societal challenges such as manufacturing and urban mobility. You will hear more later on. In particular, you will hear from one of our EIT award winners, and I'm very happy Rajai will present his innovation shortly. So I will not give more examples at this stage. Instead, I would like to talk a little bit more about the EIT's ecosystem and show you what are the unique features and also what it takes to make, of course, a successful innovation community, but also keep in mind what is the EIT's future ambition and the directions we are taking. So the validation of the ecosystem comes from the individual innovations that come out of it, but it also comes from the community as a whole. And more and more, the EIT now tries to have a pan-European coverage in its activities. And you can see the current locations here where the EIT is already present. These are the presence where the EIT has co-location centers or innovation hubs, as we call them. And these are, of course, building on strong existing cooperation of companies, universities, and some of the not just European, but world-class stakeholders in Europe. But at the same time, we have also complemented this map with more and more support to an outreach program, the EIT Regional Innovation Scheme. And that program has also been very successful, as you can see on the second map, on bringing EIT activities to the rest of Europe, and in particular the countries in green, which are those with a less than average innovation capacity according to the European Union's scoreboard. So that is also in the philosophy and in the mandate of the EIT to really achieve a pan-European coverage. And that's a very, very important message also to applicants, because we would like to see a pan-European approach from the beginning in each of the innovation communities. So this is very important here as well. In fact, the EIT community already now stretches across Europe and already has, for example, a first hub in Silicon Valley that is from EIT Digital, and also has outreach programs, for example, with China and Israel. So the EIT more and more grows beyond Europe, because to be competitive globally, we need to be connected well beyond being the best in Europe itself. You can see now there are less and less blanks in the regional innovation scheme map, and we had 18 countries actually joining the activities of the EIT only in the last 2 years. And that is a good success for us, but we would not like to stop there. We would actually like to not just have stakeholders from regional innovation scheme countries joining the EIT activities, but we would also have an increasing dissemination of the results. And we are, for example, supporting knowledge triangle integration dialogues in these countries to encourage local stakeholders to come along and to participate in the model and use the learnings, and not just the concrete innovations, but also the learnings of the model to continue to grow. So you're going to help the EIT in this quest to go from an European innovation leader to one that also becomes global. And that's why I would like to finalize my presentation with a few words about the EIT's future direction. So the EIT has developed its strategy for beyond 2021 and submitted it to the European Commission, and proposes new objectives that have a wider ambition for the EIT and that build on all the learnings and all the success that we have so far. But to be realistic, new innovation communities also have to keep in mind the type of scale that is required to build a successful innovation community. And for this, we want to strengthen the parts of the model where the EIT sees further potential. One of those parts is certainly the area of education. So we believe the EIT has an even broader potential in the field of education to bring its successful models, which now are particular at the level of universities, to further stakeholders. We would also like to further develop and create synergies with other programs, because we think that is an essential way to success and an essential way how we can offer additional support to the innovation communities by interlinking them. And we would like to build on the success of the regional innovation scheme and more help regions to come to excellence. So these are some of the key parts that we would like to propose for the future of the EIT. And of course, they will be essential for new innovation communities that will be created this year, because your project and your program of being an innovation community will be for the next 7 to 15 years. So we believe that if these new objectives are supported, and of course that also means the necessary mandate and resources are provided by the EIT, we can even further increase the impact, both on a socio-economic level with improved quality of life, but also through greater global impact on the societal challenges themselves and solving those challenges that I have laid out, but also through the impact on the innovation and education systems, meaning to really create a structural change in the way universities, companies, research organizations participating in the EIT operate. So that is what we look forward to in the future. And we want to have the EIT in a central position, of course, in a future framework program for research innovation to achieve this. And so this is the opportunity for you as potential applicants to be part of this, to be part of the emerging success story and really help to build the future. And now we really look to you to see how you propose to build up an innovation community and to create new innovation communities in the field of manufacturing and urban mobility. You're expected to bring your own contributions. Yes, the EIT provides very substantial resources, both financially and also through the support around it. But of course, there has to be strong contributions and ultimately also leverage created by what the partners from new innovation communities bring to the table. And as you know, one of the objectives of the EIT is also for innovations communities to become sustainable in the medium term, which means right from the beginning, there has to be a very strong financial plan, very strong financial contributions. There is no example from the existing innovation communities that can simply be copied. To create a new innovation community, you really have to be innovative. And that is one of the most important messages, that we expect the applications to provide something new, to provide something that hasn't been done before, and have an ambition, a strategy, and an impact which is truly pan-European and which truly makes a difference in the sector and on the societal challenges. So you are expected to innovate and have this type of ambition. In return, you will join what is already Europe's largest innovation community, and certainly already one of the largest in the world. And you will enjoy all the benefits and all the elements that I have outlined and that will be explained to you in detail. So that is the basic deal. What you bring to the table, we will match with the support, and the support is really centered on the innovator and on the innovation. So the EIT will do everything in its power to help you to implement your strategy and to make it an success. So now it's over to you. I hope you're ready to put the necessary time, energy, and resources into something that is bigger, that is certainly bigger than an individual project, that is ambitious, and that is really making a difference for Europe. And I really very much look forward to receive a high number of strong, well thought out applications. And to summarize, I will just summarize very briefly my 7 points and then pass over to you. So it is about the community. It is not about just an individual innovation community, but it is joining the wider innovation community. It is about putting innovation at the center, but also having a policy dimension, policy dialogue, opportunity taken. It is about a bottom-up approach. It is focused on societal challenges within that bottom-up approach, and it is about a strong pan-European impact and result that obviously also can be measured. It is about the unique features of the EIT and the ecosystem, but always putting the innovation and the ideas to do things differently at the center. And it is a pan-European project, and one that is evolving and has a high-level ambition, as you could see. So I hope this helps you to frame your applications. I wish you excellent work in the coming months, and we very much look forward to welcome 2 new EIT innovation communities to the family by the end of the year. Thank you very much, and the best of luck to you.